Yeah.
So it's like what, 6:15 for you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you come back when you get to Lisbon. Lisbon's on my time.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna be in Lisbon from tomorrow on. I don't know how long I'm gonna stay there. Usually I'm in Lisbon during the winter because it's fucking cold and ugly in Berlin around that time.
Yeah, I was in Berlin. I was in Berlin for New Year's one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
freezing, man. I was
And
like,
it's gray and dark and
yeah,
windy. Like London, pretty much.
yeah. Everyone was fucking firing fireworks at each other
Oh yeah.
under that arch. They had a big kind of like a music
Yeah.
festival thing there with a load of fucking 80s pop stars. I don't know about you pop stars over there, but yeah, that's what was. I was like, what's going on? Like Rick Astley,
Germany.
shit like that. I was like, I'm not Rick, but this is where pop goes to keep going. It was like, what the fuck? Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be.
Yeah.
Wait, let me make sure that we're good to go. Guys, if you can hear me, let me know because I've had issues with my audio today. So just drop down in the comment that you can hear me if you're seeing this live, and then we're going to get going. I would appreciate that.
Got some people already reaching out in the DMs and asking me questions. Could you get on a call for 20 minutes to answer some questions?
Yeah,
You ask them now.
Yeah. If you guys have questions for Valentine, just let us know. Right. I am with my very, very good friend, Valentine Younger. I'm going to ask you actually, before I do in a second. So I think you came in the end of September, was it?
No, end of August.
End of August. Okay. So
Yeah.
September was your first full month, if I'm
Yeah.
mistaken. So September.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in 2 months, give or take.
Almost 2 months. Yeah.
Almost. Cool. Now we've kind of put him in a position, and he's also put himself in a position, I will say that, where he's basically doubled out his entire commissions, which is pretty fucking awesome and pretty sick. And, a lot of people will be like, it's very easy to take someone from 2K to 4K. It's an extra deal. But to take someone who is pretty established and who's worked with pretty good people, i.e. Michael Oliver in a one-to-one capacity. If you don't know who Michael Oliver is, guys, just go out there and do your research. Okay, he built the whole NEPQ framework if you want to get into it. So that's what he is. He's very, very good at what he does in sales. Someone I have read his books and stuff like that. So he's very, very good and very in depth in terms of his education. So to take someone like you who has learned from that type of person also, and to continue to grow and scale is a testament to yourself, but also a testament to what we do, which I'm by no means going to hold back and say any different. But the reality for us is to take someone from 15 all the way up to nearly 30, that's massive, because that is a 30% close rate to a 60% close rate, which is pretty much unheard of in 6 and 8, it's between 6 and 8 weeks. So what I want to do is I just want you to give us a bit of an update in terms of who you are, what you are, where you're from, and all that kind of stuff, and how you got into sales and how you actually ended up in the objection box. Because that's probably what people want to hear.
Yeah. All right. Originally from Austria, which is almost the same as Germany, probably. Grew up there, and my first career path was more in the music industry.
Ah, shit.
I was very competitive.
Like, oh my God, that's my hero.
So I wanted to be a rock star initially, and I made my first money when I was like 15 in studios as a freelancer. Didn't even know what that means.
Yeah.
And then I worked myself upwards, and at some point realized that's not all I wanted in life. And I went into coaching and started working together with a guy who had worked with the famous Jordan Belfort.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. And that's how I got introduced to sales and started making some money with that. And I was like, okay, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
pretty naive at this point, and very pushy sales, and just push people in, which was just like my baseline. I just didn't know how to do it in any other way. I just burned through leads and kind of made some money with that.
Yeah.
And knew that that was not it, but I loved sales. And I'd been in sales for the last 4 years, right? Almost, but on and off.
Yeah. Similar.
And yeah, just did all kinds of stuff. Everything that came along, learned a lot about marketing, a lot of other stuff. I just wanted to do everything I could.
Yeah.
And this year really like committed fully to sales. And I said, like, I'm not going to do anything else because I love it and I just want to be the best. So from 2nd January on, I was just like only doing sales every day as much as I could.
Yeah.
And got introduced to NEPQ before that. Did all kinds of sales training. I did everything I could. And then, I got to my first 10K month right away. Got it up to 15K. That's kind of where I started like hitting the walls. I couldn't really get beyond that. And one of our sales reps introduced me to your stuff. And then I started watching your videos and I was like, oh shit, this guy, he really hit me with talking about pipe dreams. And I was like, shit, this is my daily life. I'm just chasing people down. I'm just doing the follow-up game. And I had days on which I basically only had follow-ups. So I was like, okay, you got to be honest with yourself. You're not doing the best job somewhere, and it's objection handling. And I had to get out of my own way to say, okay, look at it again. Watch your replays.
Your own self. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You can handle your own self. What do you think is the biggest kind of improvement for you to take you from 14-ish K or 15-ish up to nearly 30? Like, what do you think you've done that has just put you in that position?
Objections, right? Of course, objection handling and just having a framework for that, because I did kind of learn some things about how to handle them.
Yeah.
But then it was always like pre-handling them, not confronting people too much, not being too pushy.
Yeah.
And in the end, people just never came back. So, yeah.
Don't work. Yeah. And I didn't want to just set you up there to say objections because people think that all the time. But like, I can keep saying it over and over and over again, but eventually people will just see the proof, you know. Because I know we had a conversation last week and you just said, Bill, I just did what you asked. I just didn't do anything other than just learn my objections. And that's the beauty of it. Like, that's what I say to people all the time. Like, I don't need to fucking reinvent the wheel. I just need to show you how to move the fucking bitch harder and faster. That's all it is, you know. Yeah. Like, why do I need to read? Like, sales is sales. Sales has been here long before I was, and it'll be here long after I'm gone. So it's like not trying to reinvent the wheel and, you know, have this cool kind of concept of I'm changing the game X, Y, Z. No, it's making the game fair so you can actually go and win the fucking thing. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I did a live training last week on fear. And then I asked everybody, there was like 60 something people on the live training. And I asked them, how many of you have a framework when it comes to your objections? You know how many people put up their fucking hand?
Maybe 2. Probably
0. Fucking 0. It's like, no wonder why people feel sales is a struggle. No wonder why people can't make a proper, you know, dent in it. No wonder why they can't make proper money.
Yeah. You know, but I was in the same position, right? That's exactly what I said to Nick on the first call. I said like, hey, when it comes to fear objections, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just talking about stuff, and sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why. It's random.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about every objection. I was like, not just fear. They had like the big 5 objections. I just said to them all, okay, so think about a partner, money, fear, logistics. So who here has a framework to overcome any of those objections? Not one person put up their fucking hand. That's wild. Like, I just don't even understand that. Do you know what I mean? It's like crazy. It just makes logical sense.
That's the thing. Like, I've never seen a framework around that. I tried to put it together somehow myself.
Yeah.
Honestly, couldn't quite figure it out. And sometimes it worked what I did, sometimes it didn't. But I always saw that was missing in any kind of sales training out there.
Sure. What sales training have you done? And you can't throw anybody under the bus here because we are under the bus kind of people. So what have you done? What have you enjoyed? What did you take things from? What did you not take things from? Any of them?
Yeah, it all started with Jordan Belfort, right? It's
Jordy.
which kind of teaches you a few things about looping and stuff like that, which is still powerful to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But it was just like hard on and just crushing people.
Yeah.
And then I went to the other extreme of NAPQ.
Right.
Went into that, understood that actually the whole framework was based on Michael Oliver.
Yeah.
So I started working with him one-on-one,
right,
which changed a lot about like understanding where this is all coming from.
Yeah.
But I remember him, like when we were talking about handling objections, it just didn't work for me. I was just like, okay, for some reason, I still don't know how to get ahead of that. Never. And that's why I decided I need to change something.
Yeah. Because like, as you mentioned, like you will cap out, you know, you get very good at, you know, your sales game, you will cap out at 10, 15K max. That's just the average of what we've seen. If you want to get to 20 and 25 and 30 and so on and so forth, in the information age where people have lots of opportunity, they have lots of options, they have lots of, you know, data to make decisions, where people aren't going to be just, you know, armstronged into making a decision, you know. And if you lead people off, meaning they go talk to their partner, they go, you know, think about it, they go look at the emails and all this kind of stuff, you're just not going to get them back. So the problem is that you can't have one extreme or the other. That's what I found an awful lot with NEPQ. And like, people always think that I, you know, throw shade and stuff like that. I got a lot of time for Jeremy, you know what I mean? He may not have a lot of time for me these days, but the whole concept of it, especially for people that have lots of opportunity and who are kind of riddled with fear and riddled with, you know, having the courage to make a decision, this whole kind of if, but, maybe, could, would, should, possibly, you know, it doesn't instill what the person needs, which is what does the person need? They need to be empowered. You know what I mean? Confidence. So telling someone like, just, you know, go away and think about it. And what is it that you want to think about it when you do go away and think about it? And then you get the objection and then you try and handle it, then don't work, unfortunately, because you've already conceived the idea of that person going away and thinking about it, you know, or booking another call. You know, that was Jeremy's framework. Let me just get my calendar up, because I don't want, you know, you to be chasing me and I chasing you, and, you know, let's get something on the calendar. That was his way of breaking the ice. Then the next thing was, now, so that's obviously booked in. Now, in the meantime, like, what is it that you wanted to, you know, think about? And they would say to you, I just want to speak to my partner. And if you didn't know how to handle the partner, because you've already conceived the idea that you're already on a follow-up because it's already booked in the calendar, you're not going to be able to have the courage to be able to go for it then. That's the issue. Yeah. That's what
I mean. The classic thing that I did was, okay, what do you think will happen when you have the conversation? And they were like, I don't know.
And I
was like, at the dead end, right? Yeah. And I kept on doing all these things.
Yeah, you're doing all those things. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. People like, you know, you ask somebody, what do you think is going to happen when you have that conversation with your partner? The logical question is, if I don't want to answer that, I'm going to say to you, well, I don't know, because I haven't had that opportunity to speak to my partner. So that's when it's, okay, now what? Where do you go from there? That's the problem, you know? That's what people don't understand.
But it's the part where I feel like, aside from learning about the frameworks and handling objections, it's most of all about like stepping up and becoming the leader that is required in the situation.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a second, actually, because what you've been able to do actually in the company that you work for has been, you know, mind-boggling. Just give us a bit of an understanding of kind of the last 6-7 weeks for you guys in the company.
I mean, I started.
What do you actually sell, just so people can understand?
Yeah, so it's a BizUp offer, and we help people with their Instagram and building a brand around a theme page, so where they don't need to show their face. Yeah, and it's like this classic thing of like creating passive income next to your 9-to-5, eventually stepping into that at some point. And I've been with the company since January, right? And I've worked every single day, and I had really tons of calls, a lot of experience with that. Yeah. But a lot of the things really just started clicking when I got into the objection box, because I realized, okay, I was just going everywhere on the discovery part, and now I could just streamline it. And I was so fast that I could just bring on additional sales reps. I started, like in October, I got in a little bit of a rut in terms of my closing because I had to manage more people. because I had to step up and be more like a leader and manage people in this process and getting them introduced to doing their sales calls. So like you said, right, it's not only about just closing people and making money, it's about really leading people. And that also happens within your team. And it's the same things that are required. I have to have the same conversations with the team, right?
Yeah, every single day. So what's been the outcome of being able to lead the team? Like what's the growth of the company?
So we got them from when I started to where we're at right now. Like alone, no, it was alone from July to then starting with you, we 4x the revenue. So from it was from July to September, to be more accurate. That was the time span. And that was exactly when I started working with you.
Yeah. So everyone is happy then.
They're pretty happy. Yeah, they just wanna duplicate me. Right.
I was about to say, if they could only duplicate you, that would be the next step. But they can just come and we can sort them out with people, but that's the goal. What do you want to do moving forward? Because I know you don't want to be on the calls forever and always, because like I can't imagine everyone does. I know the next step for you is being able to manage teams, build teams, and scale companies and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the natural progression of a sales, rep. What's the goal for you?
I just want to still get better, to be honest. So yes, I want to step up and manage people and help other people to get into it. But at the same time, I want to lead by example, just like you do, and just stay in the game as much as I can next to everything else that will become my responsibilities, which is a little bit hard to balance right now. But I think it's just a matter of time to adjust to that.
Yeah. Talk to me about life, because being able to double your revenue, I'm sure that has a knock-on effect of your own personal life. Obviously, you work really, really hard, which is absolutely commendable. How is everything else for you? That's key.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things that we had talked about before we went live. I'm gonna move into another apartment in another city. So I have the luxury of now having 2 apartments in 2 different cities. And I always wanted to live closer to the ocean and have a little bit less shitty weather. So I'm having another residency in Lisbon. I'm just gonna stay most of my winter over there. And that's just possible because of that career. Right?
Yeah. You come back then to Berlin then in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna be in Lisbon whenever the weather is too bad here. And during the summer, I'm going to be in Berlin.
Yeah, that's what we do. And that's people don't understand that. People just think you want to make a ton of money for the sake of having a ton of money. Having loads of money in the bank is not really it. It's about what it allows you to do. It's about, getting on a plane and just fucking off and just being in different places in 8 hours. It's about that availability and opportunity. That's the key.
Yeah.
What does your partner do?
I'm alone. Right?
You're single.
I'm single. I'm fully committed to this.
Single. Wow.
Sure. If you would see my life, it's mad. Everything I do is just getting up, training, working out, 75 hours, eating, sales, sleeping. That's what I do. Right now, I'm just committed to that for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's fucking pay dividends. People don't want to do that though. That's the reality. People would look at the life that you live and the life that I live and say to themselves, that's boring. That's not a good way to live life. That's that. Yeah, it may be boring to you, but me producing and getting better and helping a ton of people and changing lives in my own life, that's not that boring to me. Boring to me is, going to work in a place that you hate just because you need to take a paycheck, and then going at the weekend to some football match and, trying to piss away your existence and forget about the fucking last 5 days that you've had. That's boring for me. Me working Saturday and Sunday and working 10, 15-hour days, I don't find that work. It's about production and it's about, enjoying the process of what you do every day.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So I always tell you, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Pick your heart, as they say.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. What do you want to ask me? Because it's not too often people ask me the questions. Anything you want to ask, anything that people in the community or people that watch online There's like 28 of you guys watching this live. Appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, just come and let us know. We'll answer them. But for you, Valentine, what questions do you have for me?
I have tons of questions for you. I mean, for me, it's like I feel like I still have a long way to go for where I want to be.
Okay.
Right. And right now I'm at a point where I'm just like, it's tough to just get everything handled that is happening. Right. And one of the biggest struggles that I had, and I remember sending you a message, maybe it also got through to a VA, I'm not sure. No, I'm pretty sure it was you responding. I had moments, to be honest, and that's maybe interesting for everyone to hear, where I felt like this is not real. I'm going to lose it all again.
Yeah.
Right. And I still deal with it. So it's like there's like even more pressure that I feel right now to perform at the highest level than I had it before, because there's like this fear of losing it again.
Yeah.
How did you go through that? Because I know you went through the process too.
Yeah, very hard, to be quite honest with you. I didn't tell anybody what I did for the first 12 months of being in sales. I was too scared because I came to London at 21 years of age, and I had a really tough time, really tough time trying to build a fitness business. And, I had so many great people that helped us. My partner Grace and our mom and dad and all of that great stuff. And it was just a slog, it was just like running uphill backwards. It was just hard. And when I came into sales, all of those kind of scar tissues helped me to kind of really dominate as such. And when I started to make money, like stupid money, like fucking retarded money, like footballer wage money, I was more scared shitless of it than anything. And I didn't want anybody to know, because I didn't want anyone to know that I had it and lost it quickly. So I spent the first 12 months of being in sales not telling anybody anything, but that coincided with COVID. So I couldn't do anything anyway. So I just, like what you're doing now, I just locked myself away. And I didn't even train, to be quite honest. I just locked myself away and just worked and studied and worked and studied and studied and worked and worked and studied. And I had a baby as well. I had India. So that was just my life. It was work, study, recover, work, study, recover, work, study, recover. And then, we had the kids and stuff like that in the middle of it. So that's all I did. So to be very honest with you, I struggled with that very much so, just like you. And I think that happens a lot of people. Like if you're 16, 17 years of age and you go from being, a kid playing with kids to now being in a stadium full of 50,000 people, and instead of making $500 a week, now you're making 20 grand a week. It takes a while to get used to that level of understanding and that level of, okay, this is where I'm at now. So there's even some days where I look at it and I'm like, fucking hell, like we just come back from Texas and I'm going to New York to meet other people. And it's like, people fly in to shake your hand, and so that's unusual for me too. So there's still days where I'm like, fucking hell, this is crazy, but you got to roll with it. You got to take it in your stride, and you got to just know that, and it's an insecurity. We all have insecurities. There's not one person on this earth that has, it all figured out. And there's not one person on this earth that, is everything and anything. I always say, like, he is without sin should cast the first stone. So we're all in a place where we're just trying to do our best in every walk of life. So the concept for me is like, just take it in my stride and just know, like, that you deserve to be where you are, because you've worked your face off. You're working when everyone else wants to rest, and you're working when everybody else wants to party. So yeah, I there's still days when I do still struggle with it, you know what I mean? And I think that's just quite natural and normal.
Yeah.
There's no magic pill for it. There's no, like, just do this and then it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like an identity thing that you feel like you just can't deal with it yet. It's like a person who wins in the lottery.
Yeah.
And that's why they just get rid of all the money as quickly as possible.
Yeah, they're not used to having the money. That's what I'm saying. So like you'll learn to be able to still deliver without looking, if that makes sense. It's just part and parcel of who you are. It takes a while though. It took me up until probably this year Do you know what I mean? Start of this year to be like, you know, there's some days where you still feel that imposter syndrome. You know, that's quite natural. You know, it's quite normal. I'm sure there's days that Andy Frisella still thinks about. Andy is one of my big guys that I look to, you know, so there's lots of insecurity in all of us, you know, and it's just about trying your best every day. And some days you're going to win and some days you're going to lose. And that's your private life, that's your, you know, public life, that's your fucking work life, it's everything, unfortunately. You know. Anyone else? Anything else? Guys, if you're watching this, let us know if you have any questions. We'd love to sit and answer. Actually, what I will do for the next 10 minutes is I'll put the link in the chat. So if any of you guys want to come in and ask Valentine what he's doing, where it's going, you ask the questions, guys. I don't really mind. It's up to you guys. And then we'll wrap up. So I'll just post it in the chat there, guys.
I even see like a question from a guy in my own inbox here.
Go for it.
And he just basically asked me a very generic question like, has the objection box been valuable to you? And would you actually suggest? I hope that answered itself by having this little chat here.
I don't know.
But yeah, you can look at the numbers, right? Did it make any difference? Was it by accident? I honestly don't believe so, right? Because I fully committed to the process and I'd worked my ass off before that too.
It's like we can work hard, you know, and that's the reality. And like I don't think there's anyone in sales that doesn't want to be successful. Let's be truthful for that. And there's a great like quote and pictures that are, you know, example of this. Like you give someone 10 hours, one person would dig a hole for 10 hours, the other person will study around themselves for 9 hours and realize what needs to happen for the last hour in order to be able to dig the hole. So it's just awareness, you know what I mean? It's awareness of what is actually going to move the needle. I learned very quickly in sales, like within like a week or two, like I can do all of this stuff and I can pre-handle everything. But if I don't know how to actually handle it, what's the point of pre-handling it if it doesn't actually work? You know?
Yeah. The pre-handling comes later, right? So I do have that sometimes that people get on a call and they throw 3 objections obviously at me within 5 minutes in a call. Now I can deal with that because I know where we're going, right? But we'll still go after that later because I have to, right?
And it's the reality, like people, and this is the God's honest truth. I think people want to pre-handle things and tell you how to handle it before it comes up because they just don't know how to handle it. You know what I mean? And the reality is, right, and this is me throwing people under the bus. When you deal with, you know, other people and you look at other trainings or whatever it may be, you're dealing with trainings that aren't in the game that 90% of the people that we coach are in. So the people that we coach are in online services, online coaching programs, masterminds, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, X, Y, and Z. So the big common issues are lots of opportunity, okay, lots of information, lots of people that they can actually go to, lots of, you know, decisions that need to happen. You're dealing with a lot of people that are looking to be saved. You're dealing with a lot of people that are looking for a shiny penny. You're dealing with a lot of people that are looking to make a ton of money quickly without doing a lot of work. So in 2023, if you can imagine, compared to what sales was in the early 2000s, it's night and day. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, all that makes sense, great, but does it make sense for what we do? Meaning you're dealing with people that are on calls, you're dealing with people that are, you know, fearful, you're dealing with people that are scared, you're dealing with young kids that want to be the next Andrew Tate, you're dealing with people that, you know, want to be the next fucking whoever, you know, so you're dealing with a lot of stuff and a lot of insecurity, you know, that's a lot different than selling a fucking finance package to some B2B company. You know, so you have to ask the questions like, with what I actually want to do, who's the guy to be able to help me to do that? You know, and that's the reality of it all. And people don't want to understand that. People just want a blanket training on top of everybody, and hope and wish and pray that it works. It doesn't work. That's the game, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it's especially like with people, if you're in a situation like I was in, where you're like, I'm doing pretty well for myself. It kind of gets at you because you feel like, okay, I'm doing well, right? I'm the top performer in my company. So there might not be so much I can change to make it even better. That's where I was until I saw your videos. I was like, shit, this is exactly what speaks to me, because I always felt like in between these two extremes of Jordan Belfort and NAPQ, there must be something in the middle that feels right.
Yeah.
And the more and more I get into it, the more I feel like, okay, this is much more aligned with what's true for me. It's just real talk. I'm just honest with people.
Yeah. The whole concept for us is like, you can do whatever, guys. Like, that's the reality. What we're going to do is we're going to build leaders. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to lead yourself. What we're going to do is we're going to show you how to actually, control the narrative and control the conversation, so you can actually help people rather than just allowing people to fucking do whatever they like. They're here for a particular reason. They're here to show, and they're here to open up and actually basically solve a fucking problem. And if you don't have the right credentials and you don't have the right cojones to actually do that, you're not going to be able to, and that's the reality. So come on in, guys. We've got another probably 10 minutes and then we're going to head off. But come on in, ask the questions, ask whatever you want to ask around elite, family, objection handling, or Valentine, on what we currently do, what's the goal, X, Y, and Z. Mr. Paul, how are you?
Good, Bill. How are you?
I'm A-OK. How are you doing?
All right. Hey, I don't have my headphones. I just went outside to look for those, so I hope you can hear me. I'm going to go out here in the back.
We can hear you, buddy. You have any questions for Valentine?
Well, I don't. I mean, I just popped on. I'm not sure who that gentleman is on the questions. I do have a question for you, though, here. Well, I've been having a lot of sales recently, and I think I mentioned to you before, I get several cancels. And just recently, like whenever I sell at full price and, the full package or whatever, if they don't get installed the next day, people have misgivings. They'll think, oh, I found things cheaper or whatever. I've got a guy now that after I hang up with you guys, I got to run over to. I sold over the weekend. It was like 11,500 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And he installs windows for a living. Okay. He's from Brazil. Okay. Didn't give me any pushback through the whole thing. But then after I had him set for install the next day, I got him the funding he wanted. Everything was all good. Yeah. But then he got online. He calls me back. He ghosted me over the weekend. Yeah. But then he at least called me this morning. And he says, I got online, and after you left, and you guys are overpriced. And so he starts dropping things at me like it was like $2,000. So it's like a huge difference. Well, I'm going to go back over to him, but I'm just trying to figure out how the best kind of circle around. Now I can give him a discount. He didn't ask for one and I didn't give him one when I did it, but I'm trying to think how to best frame it, because
one question I got for you, Paul. One question straight away. This is the one question you ask. So let's say the person is Paul. Hello, Paul. Can I ask you, buddy? I know you've done some research, which is perfectly fine, and I actually want you to go away and do that. But the one question I have for you is, from the service that I was able to present to you, from the service that you may have perceived that you just saw, how in this green yard do you think a company that's as established as us would be able to compete with a company that can do that? Where do you think they're going to cut corners in the service that you're looking for the rest of your life? Where do you think they're going to be able to save $9,000 between their product and our product? Do you think that would be normal? If you went into a car lot right now and you were looking for two Range Rovers, one was up for 25K and the other one was up for 15K, what's the question that you have on the 15? What's wrong, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, so the question I want to ask you is, what's wrong with their quote? What's going to break? What are they not telling me that can allow them to sell something with such a margin in the middle?
Right.
All you want to do is create a tiny little bit of insecurity, because that's it. Like, would you rather, here's another question. Would you rather invest 2K for something that may or may not work? Or would you rather invest what we want you to invest so you can actually guarantee that you have the service for the rest of your life, the rest 30 years of your life?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Incorporation. They've been incorporated less than 2 years, 5 years. What guarantee do you have that they're going to be around? They go into liquidation in the morning. Guess what happens? Your guarantee, your service, the people that said that they were going to come any day, they're gone.
Right.
You've been in business for over 30 years. I don't know how long you've been in business, but like, you know what I mean?
It's 66 here in South Florida.
Well, there you fucking go, 66 years. Do you think we've
Well,
stayed?
yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing is that, I can back up with all of that stuff. There's a reason why, Home Depot picked us as their in-home service provider, la-di-da-di-da. I gave him he got the full platinum package. He's got a limited lifetime warranty as long as he owns it, and he's got an assurance guarantee.
Mhm.
So it's like if he find a system that costs less, that has the same contaminant removal and a warranty that meets or exceeds ours, if he finds that, we give him their money back. So, I mean, they've got everything along there, but he saw something shiny on the, and that's what happens. People go online and they just assume things are the same,
That's the objections now. People have so much opportunity and so much options, so many information. The question that needed to be asked is the first question: why do you think there's so much of a spread? What do you think they're going to miss on? What do you think they're going to leave out? What is the quality of the service that they're going to provide that's going to be inundated so they can give you a discount of $9,000? What materials, what equipment, what type of service provider is going to do all of those things? Where are they going to cut corners to save $9,000?
Right. What would be the best way to tie it back? Since what he does, he has his own business. He's from Brazil. He installs impact windows. And when impact windows have a huge difference in quality, just like
asked him in your own career. I presume there's been companies that you feel that can provide impact windows for far less than what you can. Are those the same companies that you see in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time? Guarantee it or not. What happens to those windows that were brought in from China, brought in from the middle end of fucking Russia? What are they going to be doing now when you're still growing your business and they have to replace their window 2 and 3 times? The question that you need to ask is which is going to provide you the best guarantee, meaning that you go to bed at night knowing that your family are protected. Us that are going to guarantee it, or a company that is perceived to guarantee it, but have only been in business for less than 3 years. We've been in business 66 years, my friend.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you very much.
If you want to take the risk, if you want to risk it, then that's fine. But understand, like you're going to risk a $7,000 decision here now. It's up to you, and you just leave it there, and you just create doubt and you pull out, meaning that you just step out of it and you create doubt for that person to fall in. Got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate that, man.
See you later. Au revoir. Guys, let us know. Valentine is here. If you have questions, please do come on in. Fiona says, is he looking for a partner to comb his beard? LOL, sorry. I don't know. I'm not being a love maker, but I am Sylvie.
I didn't get an appointment at the barber today. I know.
No. But that's like that, and again, it just points and prove, Valentine. Like it doesn't matter what you sell, it doesn't matter what you do. If you know how to handle objections, you can close anything and you can do anything. Like we had a guy last week. His name is Calvin, if I'm not mistaken, Calvin, and he sells fucking boilers in Scotland. You know what I mean? Doubled his business in 8 weeks. He's in our family group. Like double his business, double his close rate, 70% close rate of sitting appointments, which is unheard of in his industry. Like literally, so don't matter. If you just know people are people,
I mean, one thing that happened also in September was that I got on another offer.
Yeah.
So it's like this BizLab offer and then another offer where we help people to get out of a 9-to-5 and into a freelancing job in the IT space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's maybe slightly different objections, but it's the same people. And I have a closing rate that is insane on that offer.
Yeah. Noor asked the question. Guys, keep asking the question because we're going to be here another 2-3 minutes. Noor asked the question. Look, very honest, guys, my name and what I do is not to throw people under the bus. You do whatever you like, guys. I don't really mind. That's up to you. But Noor asks, NEPQ and objection box use different frameworks. Fucking obvious as fuck. Okay. Did you completely switch to Bill's sales framework after joining, or do you still use some NEPQ on your calls while handling objections the Bill way that teaches? So basically, I think the question more is, do you still use an NEPQ framework? And then when it comes to objections, do you use my framework, or do you just completely just do it my way?
No, by now I do completely your way.
Okay.
I started with just only changing the objection handling, and then step by step went back and changed everything.
Like I tell you guys to do anyway. But what was the difference? What did you feel was the difference on your calls? Because that's important for people to understand.
You mean what part made the biggest difference?
Well, I mean, like from having conversations the old way, where it's the if, but, maybe, could, would, should, possibly, do you feel that X, Y, and Z, all blah blah blah. I didn't leading people. Like, what do you feel was the difference in the quality of conversation, and then how many objections you got then in the end?
Yeah. So what happened, like the deeper I went into it, was I got people super committed when I brought up the presentation, which I never had before. And the calls are way shorter. So I go through the whole process in 30 minutes. I'm just objection handling only. Latest. And I just know what I aim for. So I can ask questions in a different way, but I know what I want to get out of them, which gives me the confidence that I'm on the right track, or I need to just rephrase it and loop again. And you just become more and more flexible with it. Right? Yeah. I'm still in progress, but it's way more straightforward. Before that, I didn't really know what I wanted out of my questions, to be honest, sometimes.
Right. And what does that give you then when you don't know what you want out of the questions? What does it ultimately give you?
Nothing, right? It's like it's just lost time, and it confuses your prospects. They're confused and they're getting sometimes pissed, especially if they're just a little bit more dominant. And yeah, I mean, I remember these conversations, especially when I talked to business owners, and I went through the process, and they were like, I know what the fuck you're doing, you're asking the next question, this is going to come up, and this doesn't happen anymore because it feels like a normal conversation.
Absolutely. Because if you're probe and clarify, I just want to have more time to cut the grass. And then you're like, and can you just let me know, like, what are you going to get out of cutting the grass while I'm going to have a nice lawn? And what's that going to do for you? It's going to make me feel happy. And how would it feel that you're happy? You're like, what are you talking about? Like, where's the conversation going?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on? As I call that, that's chasing the wrong rabbit. That's what we call that.
And it was a very friendly conversation, right? It was a very nice conversation. There was not a lot of friction. And therefore I had the friction all summarized at the end of the call. Just got bombarded with it.
Yeah. The issue is, like, if you have a really friendly conversation with somebody, next minute you hit them a right hook, it completely changes the whole concept of everything, doesn't it? That's what happens. It's what, like, we used to coach objections in that world. And this is what I used to see all the time. You're like, you know, you were a best friend. Someone says no, and boom, you hit them a right hook. Like, it just completely wrecks everything you've done. You got to lead from the first second. You got to lead all the way to the end. If you do that effectively, you do it with passion, you do it because you care. That's how you actually help people, you know, and that's how you don't sell people, you help people. That's the game. Yeah. Hey, Valentine, I want you to kind of, you know, leave it on whatever you want to leave it on. I appreciate you coming here. Your time is valuable, so I appreciate it. Because if you have any more questions, type them in the chat, and I and Valentine will jump on it if you need to. What I would say to you guys, you're dealing with someone who makes nearly $30,000 a month, you know, so please, you know, ask questions. You know, this man wants to give his time to you. So ask the questions, especially if you're struggling, especially if you're in the game and you don't know what the next step is, especially if you're having, you know, issues, problems, concerns around objections. Ask the questions, guys. You should always be a student. I'm a student every single day. You know, I look to a lot of people to educate me over and over and over again. That's how you keep going, you keep growing, you keep scaling. That's how it works. So last thing for you, buddy. It's up to you what you want to say. Like, what do you want to give the community? Like, what do you feel they should know, you know, about themselves and everything that they have, whether they're in sales, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, like, what do you think they should be understanding?
I believe, to be honest, this is what I see over and over again, and I've been in sales for a while. We want to get our prospects to go out of their own way. And I think it all starts with yourself, right? And I had to get out of my own way to commit to the future that I actually wanted for myself so that I can now do the same for my prospects. And it's about helping them. But if I cannot do that for myself, I'm going to be fucked. Yeah. And that's why I got stuck, because it's very easy to get a little bit comfortable with where you're at and saying like, hey, I'm already making some money. It's fine. And we'll just get better by doing more of it, but it won't. And we all know that if we have that honest conversation that we give our prospects, but we usually don't give ourselves. So if you're just hitting the same kind of revenue every single month, then there's like maybe something that you need to really discuss with yourself. And then it's time to make moves.
Yeah. But you also don't have to. Like if you're happy where you are, then that's absolutely fine, you know. And people, you know what, it took me nearly 3 years to come to that capacity because I competed against something I can't compete against, you know. And I'm going to tell you this and then I'm going to fuck off. I competed with something that doesn't stop, doesn't turn off, doesn't take a break, doesn't fucking, you know, take holidays, doesn't ever get sick. I competed with the tracker of money. Now, when you compete with something that doesn't shut off, then you're always going to be what? You're always going to fail. You're always going to be second. You're always going to burst yourself out. So if you're happy, guys, with doing what you're doing, and you feel that, you know, you're in a good position and you feel that you don't want to grow and you don't want to get better and you don't want to keep pushing on, then I would absolutely unequivocally say to you, don't ever change. If you're happy where you are, stay there. Don't try and get in the game because you see Tom, Dick, and Harry doing it. Don't feel the fucking FOMO. Don't feel anything. Just keep being in your own bubble and just keep doing what you're doing. And that's going to be a lot of people, you know. But what I would say to you guys is that if you're not happy with where you are and you're not where you want to be and you feel that there's more growth, you feel that there's more that you can actually deliver on, you feel that, you know, there's more that, you know, is inside you and you feel guilty for not making more out of it, then I would highly suggest what the bottleneck is. I would highly suggest figuring out what the fuck is going on with you. I would highly figure out and you know, have a good conversation with yourself of what needs to change in order for you to get to where you want to go. And if objection handling is that, and you know, you want to get on better offers and you want to produce a lot more, there is no one in the fucking market and there is no one on this green earth that can produce as much as we can produce. So you got to just figure out what people actually want. And I don't mean people, I mean you, for whoever's watching this. You got to figure out what you want. And then the second thing you got to figure out is what needs to happen in order to go and get there. That's what needs to be done, you know. And it's the same thing as Valentine said, you cannot ask your prospects to do it if you don't do it yourself. It's called incongruency. That's what it's called. So don't be that guy or girl. Level up. All right, buddy, appreciate you. 50 minutes in and out. The whole, just to give this a summary, what you did for the first 6-7 weeks is you just solely focused on your objection handling. After that, then you went and you improved the other aspects of the sales. Now you're not just a salesman, you're also a sales leader. You have your own team, you're managing, you're coaching, you're building. You 4x the business in the last number of weeks. So everything that you're doing, buddy, we're fucking super proud of you. We're super happy with what you're doing. And we look to you as a light and we look to you as a leader. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. Keep growing. I want to see the picture with you and Jimmy next week. So look forward to that. And appreciate you jumping on and appreciate you giving back to the community, because there's a lot of people that need to hear, you know, and there's a lot of people that need what we do. So I appreciate you, buddy. Behave yourself.
I appreciate you too.
Okay, pal. See ya.
Hey, thank you so much.
See you later on. If you need anything, let us know and we'll go from there. Bye-bye. See you, buddy.